Hi, I'm Roelof, new to the Makera team. I'm an industrial designer by trade and I've got about 8 years of experience using CNC machines, ranging from small to large scale and a diverse range of materials. Now back in South Africa, where I'm from, and I think in most cases 3D printers is the go-to method for concept development and prototyping. But when I stumbled across this machine, I knew this was going to be a game changer for engineers, designers and artists. Now, what am I doing here? I will be assisting Josh and the team by creating some user experience content, getting you as the user from setting up your machine into creating your own projects. For the last couple of weeks, I spent some time in the factory in Huaibei China, getting to know the ins and outs of this machine and how it operates and how it is assembled. We are a community of very diverse makers, from beginners to professionals, and we have communication platforms for sharing projects, Q&As, troubleshoot and support. We are also in the developing stages of a forum and also a knowledge base in the form of a wiki. The online store is officially launched. You can check that out at www.makera.com. But for now, let's get you set up, and we're going to start with unboxing of the machine, setting up the machine and cutting some examples, which will include your own LED light from scratch, PCB fabrication, 3-axis relief, 4th-axis relief, and laser engraving. So let's not waste any more time and get you straight into the official unboxing.
So here we'll start with the box on the ground. We recommend opening it up on the ground and then placing the machine on a secure table after. The box weighs about 70 kilograms and the machine weighs about 50 kilograms, and we will start opening up at the bottom. You'll need a pair of pliers, a flat screwdriver or something similar to bend down these tabs. Some of these brackets will need a nudge to clear the base of the box, so you can just use a screwdriver to open up the bottom angle. When all the tabs are bent down, you're ready to lift up the top. Sometimes this step might need a little bit of love and effort, as this crate is built for export. Next, you just slide open the top lid and put that aside. Now's the part we call the second pair of hands to lift the machine into its position on a strong and sturdy table. Then you will start unwrapping the machine. First is the external bag. This makes a really nice rubbish bag for disposal of any packaging materials. I just lift up the machine on the one side and take the bag out underneath. And same on the other side. Here's the first bag of goodies. We will go through all of them in a minute. Next step is removing the scratch protection film. There's no real method of removing this. Just start from one side and remove. Now you're ready to open your machine. The lid of the machine is supported by gas lifts. The shot is not slow mode. It's quite an elegant opening. Here we will see some included standard items and some optional boxes secured on the inside of the machine. These boxes are supported by brackets at the bottom and just held in place by cable ties. So we'll just clip these with a side cutter or something similar. Also no real method or order to cut these. Let's go through these boxes first because we will need some of the items for the setup of the machine. So here's the first package that is mounted on the outside of the machine. First is the laser protective film that can be applied to the outside of the machine. This is an optional addition that we recommend to apply if you're planning to use the laser model for extended time periods. We also have an optional laser cover lid which is available on our online shop. This is the laser color paper. This can be used on ceramics for applying decals or logos. We will do a separate video on that. Then you have some stickers, some caution and warning ones to remind you about safety. And then we have the two booklets, the instruction manual and the examples guide. The latest version of these are available on the website. Not that these are incorrect, but we might have added some more information on the latest ones. So the instruction manual runs through all the steps for setting up the machine and setting up the software and how to work the software. For beginners, we do recommend paying attention to the safety instructions. There are some parts of this machine that can cause injuries. The example guides show you how to load the cut files, set up the tools and the materials. I will reference back to this tool page quite a lot just to make sure that all the bits is in the correct locations. Next, we'll move to the 4 boxes. We'll start with the toolkits, then accessories, materials, and then the optional PCB fabrication kit. Let's start with the toolkit box. This is the tools that you will use to set up the machine and set up the materials. It comes in a nice little toolbox, little foam insert. Every tool has its place. First part here is the anchor points, the anchor point brackets. You have 2 options on these. This is the thicker option, and then there's also this thinner option. Thicker material would justify the use of the thicker bracket. This depends on your preferences and the way that you are clamping down your materials. Now the anchor point locates into positions on the machine. By doing this, you first need to locate the bracket with these dowels, and then you'll screw the bracket in place after it's located with its dowels. This is the general screwdriver that you'll use for most of the screws that you need access to. All the screws in the toolbox that is applied for mounting purposes works with this screwdriver. This is the spindle collet installer. This will be used if you are changing the collet to something other than the standard 1/8 inch bits. This is an optional extra, and the optional collets will go into these 3 holes. Next is the bit collar installer. This is used to apply a collar to a bit at the correct length to support the auto tool changer. We will do a short video on that and show you how to use this neat little tool. Next is the tool bits that you'll use for your initial setup. You will see that these bits already have their collars installed. It is as easy as just placing these bits into position. Then you have your top clamps. These can be used in many different configurations. There are 2 different clamps. One is a straight slot and the other one is a cross section slot for a bit more clearance. For a different style of clamping, you'll have side clamps. These are generally used on thicker materials, and they are just adjusted by tightening the screw like this. Some of the items included here are optional extras, like this one. This is your extra bit collars and collets. They come in different sizes: 4mm, 6mm, and 1/4 inch. You will use this bit collar installer to apply the collars to these bits. Then you will use the collet installer to change the collet in the spindle motor to fit your bits. The only difference is the hole size, and the back end of it fits into the spindle like this. Next we have the power cable to power your machine. Depending on where you are from, the machine will come with the correct plug. Next we have the wireless probe. One comes standard and one is an optional extra. In cases of getting an extra one, the one that is paired with the machine will be marked with a sticker. Included in the box is the wireless probe and 3 collared options, the 4mm, 6mm and 1/4 inch. I'll just check if it works by just pressing the button and the light is showing. You might need to charge yours by placing it into the designated home in the machine and then just switching on the machine. A neat feature of this probe is that it has a laser point in the tip. It is used to scan margin. So what this means is that it will scan the border of your job before it will grab a bit and start cutting. So you can actually see if there's any obstructions on the material or the clamping brackets or a problem with an offset. To change to a different collet size, you just unscrew the top of the probe. Next is the USB cable, USB-C. This can be used to link the machine to your computer or for charging a device on the side ports of the machine. Next we have the manual tool setter. This will be used when changing the X, Y, Z 0 position to something other than anchor point 1 and anchor point 2. By plugging this in on the side of your machine bed, the machine knows that you are changing the X, Y, Z position and automatically offset the Z height, thickness of the part and set the coordinates to 0, 0, 0, 0. Next is the spare tool bits. Included is corn bits. This is generally used for drilling and PCB fabrication. And you have some general bits and some end mills. Opening these boxes can be quite tricky. You just have to nudge the 2 edges over one another. This is the drill bits. You have a few different sizes. The bits are different, but the collet sizes are 1/8 inch to suit the standard collet. Then this is your general V bits and end mills. And then your corn bits. 2 of them already has their collars on. You have a spare dust filter in case you need to change this after a while. Next we have the laser goggles. This is for protection of the eyes when using the laser module. They're really comfortable and fashionable. Maybe not. Then you have normal safety glasses. When cutting anything with the lid open, we do recommend using this as chips and particles can go flying. Next is one of my favorite parts included in the box, a big red button. Now who doesn't like a big red button? This thing is really solid. I love the way it looks and I like the way it feels. It has the same function as the button in front of the machine. It plugs in at the back of the machine, and to reset this button to its neutral state, just give it a little twist to the right. And that's the accessory kit. Let's have a look at the materials. First of all, you have the setup for your LED light. We include the pre-soldered PCB board for those who will not focus on PCB fabrication. For those who will, we have also included all the electrical components for you to solder your own board. Here is some resistors, here is your USB-C plug and your LEDs. Then you have some double-sided tape. This can be used for mounting down materials to the spoil board and in some cases assembly. You have a big sanding block, it's about 180 grit. Then you have some saw blades. I'll show you how to mount your blade. So you have 2 blades included depending on the material that you're using. So to install the blade, you just unscrew this silver section and pull that back slightly. Locate the blade in the slot and re-screw the silver section tightly. Easy as that. Next we have some epoxy tooling board. This will be used for the 3-axis relief. Then you have some PCB boards, single-sided and double-sided. Then you have some aluminium. This will be used for the machining of the button of your LED light. We recommend removing the scratch protection film on all the materials before you cut them. Then you have another sanding block. One side is high grit, another is a low grit, and the white sections are the indicators for holding. Then you have your ABS plastic. This will be used for cutting the base of your light. Then you have your acrylic plate. 2 of them. This will be used for the illumination panel for your light. Lastly, we have some 2mm MDF spoil boards. You're going to use quite a lot of these. So if you run out, you can use different material for spoil boards as well. As long as it has an even thickness and the bit supports cutting it, you should be fine. I like to trace out the material I'll be cutting on my spoil board and then just cut it out from there. Next we have the PCB fabrication pack. This kit is an optional extra and will not be included in your standard kit. Here we have some rivets. These are mostly used in double-sided PCB fabrication. Then you have 2 packs of PCB boards, single-sided and double-sided. Their sizes are 100 by 150 millimeters and you have 10 of each. So you've got quite a lot of material to work with. Then you have some extra V engraving bits. This is for the removal of the brass layer on top of the PCB board. You have a 30-degree option and a 60-degree option. And you just remove this silicone cover to expose the bit. Beware, all the bits included are very sharp, so avoid touching the tips of the bits. It will cut you and it will hurt. I've been through this many times. Then we have the solder mask removal tool. Basically, this is a spring-loaded V-bit specifically designed by the team to have just enough cutting force to remove the solder mask and not the brass. There are some tooling parameters for programming this. We'll focus on this in a later video. Then you have your solder mask and applicators. You have a total of 6 tubes, 3 different color options. To set this up, you take off the nozzle cap and remove the back cap. To secure to the nozzle, just place it into position and turn to lock. Then place the applicator into the back and press to extrude the mask. Then you have your solder mask roller. Now there are many methods to apply solder mask, but we found that this is a simple and easy application for the mask of the PCB board. We recommend keeping this roller clean after use. Ethanol wipes works quite well. You have some more drill bits and corn bits. Then you have some dowel pins for jigging and double-sided PCB fabrication. You will need a thicker spoil board to locate the dowel pins into, but I think we will do a separate video on that at a later stage. Then you have your UV cure lamp. You will use this to cure the solder mask onto your PCB boards. The time it takes for your solder mask to cure depends on a few things: thickness of the applied mask, temperature, and humidity. The lamp has 2 feet. You can just flip open and then use the timer setting on top of the unit to set it either to 5-minute timer or a 15-minute timer. Next we have the 4th axis rotary module. This is also an optional extra. So let's open this box. To open the box, you just tilt it to the side to get the opening lid. What's included in this box is the module itself, 2 sets of tooling board, and 2 chuck wrenches. To secure the material in place, you will use these 2 chuck wrenches. And that's the last of the boxes. Let's set up the machine to see the items in action. So here we'll start by taking off the cable ties which held all the boxes in place. Next we will take off all the brackets and replace the screws that we need to. The replacement screws and Allen screw you will find underneath the bottom right bracket marked with an arrow. And then we will start by taking the screwdriver in your toolbox to remove all the brackets. Then you'll use the replacement screws and replace the 2 in the front and the 2 at the top. Next we will move to the back of the machine to insert the power cable. Depending on where you're from, this should come with the right plug. Then we'll insert the emergency stop button. For the stop button, just line up the slot with the plug, insert, and screw in the plug nut. At the back also here you have your USB outlet, and then here you have the optional input for an external air supply. And here is your optional input for external vacuum. Here I will mount the phone or pad holder. You use the same screws that are currently in the holes to mount. This USB port is a 5-volt charge only. You can use this for either charging a phone, pad or a camera. Now let's set up the inside of the machine. First of all, we're going to mount the anchor point. This is the position of anchor point 1. First you need to put in your dowel pins. You'll find the locating holes in the machine bed. The purpose of these dowel pins are for accuracy and minimal movement. When securely placed, you can use the short screws in the toolbox to fix the bracket. The 2 open holes in this bracket are used for clamping materials down. For reference, I'll just show you the position of anchor point 2. It works the same as anchor point 1 with the dowel pins. Here we have the internal vacuum bin. Just remove the tape and you can slide the bin in and out to clean. Then we have your 2 vacuum options. The dust foot is connected to this pipe and the machine will arrive set up in the left hand side hole for the internal vacuum, but you do have the option for external vacuum on the right hand side hole. The machine comes pre-installed with a test rod, and this will be allocated to tool number 6 in the standard tool setup. To lower the dust foot, you have to pull this knob, turn it 30 degrees to the right, and the foot will release. This will be the cutting position of your dust foot. Then you have your laser engraver over here. It has a little silicone cap so the dust can't get into the lens. It's quite an easy thing to forget, so just a reminder to remove this cap before using the laser. Then you have your air assist module where you can adjust the flow of air with the blue knob. Last thing for the setup will be to place all the bits in the right locations. I will reference back to the example guide booklet to see which bit goes where. First will be the wireless probe. Next will be the single flute 25mm. Next is the 30 degree 0.2 V bit. Then you have the 0.8 corn bit. And then you have the single flute 12mm. That'll be for non-ferrous metals. And then the 5th tool is the UV solder mask removal tool.